Hello, everyone. We do live in interesting times, as in the biggest Chinese curse, which sounds like, may you live in interesting times. I have no idea whether the Chinese cursed us or not, but we do live in interesting times. And the upcoming Aries full moon clearly describes what is happening in the world. And I gave the title of this video, Diplomacy or Destruction, which may sound, well, first of all, it's a tribute to alliteration, alliterative poetry in English, which I loved. And at the same time, this sounds quite a clickbait title, but this is the space-time moment, unfortunately. So I'm not aiming at clickbait. I'm simply trying to tell you that these are very, very dangerous times. First of all, full moons are about completion. And if you took a look at what was happening in the last 2 weeks from the new moon till now, you will see that the flavor of and the energy patterns of the times became very, very militant and very irrational, I would say. And here's the London chart for October 17th at 12:26 p.m. London time, right afternoon. We are still on daylight saving time, so although it's noon, the sun is still in the 10th, still rising towards the midheaven. On the midheaven, you actually have Astrea, the karma breaker, opposite Chiron, karmic wounds, which are in your IC or in your deep hidden karmic roots. On the Sagittarius ascendant, you have the two strong feminine archetypes, Pallas Athena and Lilith, revolt against injustice and wisdom. And on the descendant, you have Jupiter, the chief god that enlarges everything it touches. And as you can see, the real flavor, first of all, Libra. Libra is the sign of diplomacy and cool, reserved behavior. After all, Libra is the only object in on the zodiac, so it means that you don't have any emotions. Well, it's an air sign, and air and water, so rationality and emotions are mutually exclusive psychological modes. Let's put it this way. But at the same time, this Libra sun is also conjunct Juno, and Juno is the first lady archetype, so it describes committed, serious relationships. But at the same time, it also signifies alliances, pacts, promises, all kinds of signed treaties and documents. So that's on the sun. And the sun is opposite a very militant, very harsh moon. And of course, if you consider in mundane astrology, the moon is always the people, okay, and the sun is the ruler. So the sun is the prime minister or the premier or the king, and the moon is your subjects. And this moon is not only conjunct Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances, but also Dark Moon Lilith, which is the second turning point in the Lilith myth, signifying the fact that Lilith left the Garden of Eden and doesn't want to go back. And then Yahweh sends one of his, or three of his angels to visit her and threaten her to go back meekly and nicely. But of course, and if not, then she will be cursed. And she chooses this option. She doesn't go back, and she says, I don't care. And practically she accepts the curse upon her staff. So Lilith, Dark Moon Lilith, doesn't mean you curse someone. It means that you are being cursed, but you don't care because you do what is necessary. And this is on the moon. So that is why I think that the moon is usually powerless. The people are usually powerless. But this is a militant moon. This is an Aries moon, which has Eris, drastically altered outward circumstances. Everyone realizes this. Actually, we are very, very close to a full-blown Third World War. This is what the chart suggests. And it's interesting that in the London chart, you have the IC conjunct this traffic jam in Aries, and you have the Lilith, you have the Juno sun conjunction on the midheaven. So actually, it means that, yes, you should behave differently. You should focus on the future, and you should learn from the past. And actually, I think that this particular chart, very much the London chart, suggests that the people have power, and they should really exercise this power at this time of the now. Let's put it this way. And I will show you two configurations. One is, okay, let me put this a little bit slow. I mean, because we don't see. Okay. One is around 23, 25 degrees, including Mars, which is creating a cardinal T-square with the full moon and also ruling this full moon from Cancer. A couple of days ago, no, I didn't do it in English, sorry. Disregard my remark because I didn't have the time. We had a full day of karmic. Well, it was called a big karma day, and we concentrated, myself and my colleagues who are not astrologers. One is a numerologist and the other one is a parapsychologist, and we were concentrating of the issue of karma. And I gave two talks, and in the last 2 weeks, this is what I prepared for. So I didn't have the time, but anyhow. So at this moment, Mars is squaring the Sun Moon, of course, and also ruling the full moon. So it has a very, very special position also at the apex of this T-square. So you can see the flavor of the energy is really very militant and very disruptive and harsh. But hopefully the transcendental celestial objects do help us. I'm not going to look at the Sun Moon at the moment because we have another configuration where we are going to look at it in details. We are going to only concentrate on Mars, which has Archimedes, the philosopher and mathematician who realizes something. It's a eureka moment when he all of a sudden realizes something. And Pollux, and this, by the way, this may help us that maybe finally the powers that be realize that just because they have a bunker, okay, an atomic bomb bunker, won't help them. I mean, just think for a moment, okay? Think about it. Okay, you go down to your bunker, okay, which is bulletproof and atomic proof. Fine. What are you going to do there? Let me ask you. You hoarded a lot of preserves and this and that and whatever. Fine. Okay, how long are you going to be there? 2 years? 5 years? 10 years? 20 years? Are you going to die there? What are you going to do if you need a surgery? What are you going? It's so ridiculous. Instead of building bunkers, we should build peace. It's so obvious, really so obvious. And by the way, if you keep listening to mainstream media, which keeps suggesting that, for instance, the Ukrainian war or the Israeli war, they were all unprovoked. Well, let me tell you a very important truth, because truth depends on where you start the story. And if you start the story 3,000 years ago, you get a different picture. And if you start the story about even just 20 years ago or 30 years ago, you also get a very different story. So don't accept, nothing is ever unprovoked. Okay, so that's a very important lesson for us to learn. So, and then Pollux, which is the alpha star. No, sorry, it's not the alpha star. It's the brighter star, but it's the beta star of Gemini, and it describes the artist who has a lot of suffering. So it's the suffering artist energy. Okay, let's take a look at the other configuration, a karmic platform, which is at 25, 27 degrees of the signs of the and here. What is a platform? A platform is always almost like a stage, but not really. Trapezes are stages. Trapezes symbolize stages where you need to fight or work or be lucky to be able to step upon the stage and present what you want to present to the world. A platform is easier because you can step on it, and any configuration that has semi-sextiles as their sides Okay, there are many types of platforms, but there's always the side is always made by semi-sextiles, so you can step on. It's just a one-step movement to get on it. And here the base is the sun-moon opposition, the full moon itself. The inner energy are two quincunxes. Actually, both are some. There are some bidirectional quincunxes because Uranus is retrograde, and so is Aries. So you do have the positive energy as well. But karmic platforms are kind of disruptive because you have this karmic energy inside, bottled up, and you want to get rid of it. And how can you get rid of it? Quite easily, actually, because the top of the platform where you can perform, where you can say what you need to and show the world what you need to, is the Vesta Uranus trine. So you can actually focus Vesta on change, the necessary changes. And also, yes, of course, Uranus is about disruption and chaos and revolution and all kinds of things, and of course, freedom urges. But we could actually look at freedom urges that we want to be free of this chaos that is programmed for us. The whole process started with the COVID, with the pandemic, which they planned in order that they could subjugate the whole world and have ridiculous, really stupid rules. And the world complied. It was so funny. We were so scared. They were showing pictures of people dying and in the streets and corpses everywhere and horrible things. And people got scared. But of course, later on, we realized that this is a whole scam, a big scam, and people started to fight for their freedom. And in 2 years, it just, then the war came, the Russian-Ukrainian war, and all of a sudden, Putin really is a genius because all of a sudden, the virus disappeared. Isn't it interesting? And now they are concocting another virus because now the war is kind of winding down, although they always push more money and more weapons and more interest into it, and more people are dying. People are dying by their thousands. A whole generation, I think 2 generations, are wiped out in Ukraine. And if you think that, yes, Russia should be destroyed and should be defeated, on what? On what basis and on what price? What kind of price are they paying for it? What kind of price are the Ukrainians paying for it? Just because the West is pushing it. It's really ridiculous. But we can focus on change, and this is the saving grace of the moment, hopefully. There are other saving graces as well if you take a look at the transcendental celestial objects. On the Sun-Juno conjunction, which is really alliances, and how you build your alliances, how you build diplomacy. You have 0, which means nothing, of course, but it also means the ability to create something out of nothing, to live out of nothing. And Veritas, which is truth, so the truth should prevail. And 2 very bright, very beautiful fixed stars, Spica, which is Alpha Virgo, which is the maiden's wheat shaft holding hand. So it's the nurturing hand of the Virgo. And then Arcturus, which is Alpha Boots, and it is a place where those souls who die of abuse very young, so abused children's souls, are being healed. It's a very powerful word. On the Moon Aries Dark Moon conjunction, you have fortune, and Valhalla, which is the place where the gods are gathering and discussing methods. So yes, they should sit down and talk it over, please. Okay, this is what the world, the people in the world demand. And on Uranus, you have Algol, Beta Perseus, which is considered to be a very dark and ugly and horrible fixed star. By definition, stars cannot bring bad stuff. You can treat the energy in a bad way on the physical level, on the human level. But stars are not part of the solar system. They are universal energies and higher dimensional worlds. And if you mistreat them, it's your problem. Let's take a look where this is and why Bernadette Brady was a genius, highlighting the fact that you should never actually use conjunction. And by the way, you should never use any other aspect because it's irrelevant and totally stupid. So your sun or any of your planets can only be conjunct a fixed star if that particular fixed star is on the ecliptic, if it's a zodiacal constellation. Otherwise, you should use the word aligned. This is what Bernard Brady suggested in 2006, I believe. And here you have the proof, because Spica is at the very same, almost the same degree as Arcturus. And this is what the sun is now highlighting. But so far, Spica really is on the ecliptic. So the sun could be conjunct, or we could say it's conjunct Spica. But Arcturus is a northern constellation star. So the sun will never be conjunct Arcturus. Forget it. It will never actually be there. Okay. And here is the other star that cannot be conjunct anything, Algol, which is again Beta Perseus, and it's way up to the north. At the moment, Uranus is quite, it's like 19 degrees from the celestial equator. This is the celestial equator. And Algol is about 10, 20, 40, 41 or 42 degrees from the celestial equator to the north. So nothing can be conjuncted. But you can say that Uranus is aligned with Algol. And besides all this, there's another saving grace in the chart, which is a partly an erratic harmony triangle. And if you take a look, it's erratic because Venus is ready to move into Sagittarius, leaving its detriment. And as I said many times, Venus in Scorpio kind of denotes the harlot energy, simply because in karmic astrology, what we say is if a planet is in its own sign, you can utilize it for your own. If it's in its detriment, you can utilize it for somebody else. Now, you can be a moneylender, or you can be a harlot, of course. It's a behavior pattern. Don't get me wrong. So you don't need to go to the streets and sell your body, but it is a behavior pattern. And very often, Scorpio Venus women don't really like themselves, or don't really honor themselves, unfortunately. Anyhow, so this Venus is ready to move into Sagittarius, and Pluto just turned direct and is moving into Aquarius on the 20th of November. And from then on, for the next 18 years or so, it will be in Aquarius. So there will be a big shift in the energy pattern. Last time this happened, we had the French Revolution, by the way. French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, totally new age. I don't know what Pluto will bring, but we will see, definitely. You can be sure. And a Neptune, which is also retrograde at the moment, it's at 27 something in its own sign. So it is closing the harmony triangle, at the apex of which is Pluto. And Venus-Neptune trials are beautiful because they harmonize the two types of love: carnal, physical love, Venus, and universal, eternal, divine love, Neptune. And the Pluto-Venus aspects are interesting because Judy Horse spoke about an emotional black hole. So those who have Pluto-Venus in their charts have the feeling that I will never get enough love. Now, this is a sextile. So you actually, what happens is not the feeling that you haven't enough love and no one gives you enough love, but the ability to receive love and to divert love towards you, so to speak. So it's quite powerful. Okay, and of course it could be utilized for emotions or resources or money, whatever you want to utilize it. Let's take a look at the remaining transcendental celestial objects. On Venus, you have two asteroids, Centaur, actually a TNO, Centaur TNO. In karmic astrology, we don't care where the trans-Neptunian object is. We just call them centaurs, kind of like when you say personal planets and you include the sun and the moon, which are luminaries. So it's like a generalization. But actually, Saturn is a TNO by astronomical definition. It still describes karmic wounds. Hidalgo was the one of the heroes of the Mexican War. Sekhmet is the fire-eating goddess of Egypt. Sato denotes toxic emotions. Actually, in Scorpio, as it is on Scorpio Venus, it really deepens the flavor of these emotions. And then Toliman, which is Alpha Centaur, and you will never be able to see it from Europe, unfortunately, or from England, or from the United States, because it's a southern constellation. It's beautiful, and it is described. It is the centaur. It describes actually a Chiron. So its stars, especially the Alpha star Toliman, is the main healing word for Chiron problems, for karmic wounds. On Pluto, you have Zeus, the chief god, and Harmonia, harmony. And on Neptune, you have Tethys, who was the ancient sea goddess, ocean goddess, very much in love with Neptune. But Zeus didn't allow them to marry because he was afraid that they will have very, very powerful offspring. So actually, Thetis had to marry Peleus, just an ordinary man, and was very mad about that. But that's how it is. But in this chart, Thetis and Neptune and they are united. So it's quite, so as I said, this is a saving grace for us. Okay, please be careful. This is a very militant, very dark full moon. Sorry about the pun. It's really dark. It shows how the world is now really at a crossroads where we either turn back to diplomacy and discuss our differences and sit down, or we become a mob, an angry, killing, burning mob. But because that is the with the idea that I don't care because I'm right, I don't care what's happening to you, I don't care what's happening to the world. I'm just burning everything to the ground because that is the Moon Aries Dark Moon Lilith conjunction, opposed to the Sun Juno conjunction in Libra, and that is the space-time moment, and it's upon us what we are going to do with it. So please be careful, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.